This thing is amazing. So I'm testing out the new GoPro 7, right? Hero 7 Black Edition, with a new improved microphones and new improved stabilization, which is amazing. I tried it out yesterday on my bike, and it was I was quite impressed. Anyway, only in freaking Chicago. So last 3 days we have a temperature in mid 80s. Yesterday was a little bit cooler, it was like upper 70s. Today I wake up, it's 38 degrees, man, like a 40-50 degree swing. Right now it's 41, and it's gonna get even colder because I'm heading up north to Wisconsin, about 2 hours away, actually 110 miles, to pick up some vinyl records of the guy. He contacted me yesterday. He says he has a collection of over 500, he said 500 records. About 400 of them are classic rock from 70s and 80s, which is beautiful. That's the best sellers. And then he said about 100 records of some jazz and blues, which is fantastic as well. Believe it or not, right now, guys, the best selling item for like 6 months, it was like a little wave. It was about 3 years ago, vinyl was selling extremely well, and then it took a little dip, and now it's back on a rise again. Last 6 months, the best selling item in my shop, it's between vinyl and knives, and vinyl's been selling really good. Vinyl from all genres, you know, blues, country, classical, rock, across the board is selling. So I agreed with him for $1 a piece. So hopefully all these records are in decent shape, and I can make some money. On average in the shop, LPs I sell anywhere between like $4 to $6 depending what it is. So, you know, if I can buy these for like 500 bucks and hopefully flip them for about 2,500, 3,000, can go wrong. I'm willing to drive a couple hours to get them. So as soon as I get there and make the deal, I'll share it with you guys. And almost here. 2 hours and 4 minutes, 100 miles. I got a couple more miles to go. Beautiful area here. Tiny road. Excited. It's freaking damn cold though. 42 degrees. No, 46 right now. So good test for this camera now. It's pretty windy. I want to see how this new GoPro Black Edition is doing in the wind. So I just left this guy's house. I was able to go through some of these records that he had there, and I only end up getting 350 LPs from him. Most of it, you know, classic rock stuff. And I got some vintage electronics, which was cool because I wasn't expecting that. I got 3 receivers. I got one more on the back seat. I got this guy right here, Realistic, not a great brand, couple of Realistics. I got a tape deck that it's a Realistic too, but it's a 3-head unit. And I end up getting all the LPs for 50 cents a pop. So everything that I got here, I paid $225. 175 for the records, and I gave him 50 bucks for the audio equipment. They all power on, but no further testing done. So who knows, it might be hit and miss, but I'm happy. I'm very happy. And the best part is he's got about 1,100 more records to go through. All right, I'm heading back. Let me tell you guys how I buy when I come across a big collection of records, how I determine how much I'm gonna pay, because it's almost impossible when you get to somebody's house or whatever it might be to go through all of them, right? You would have to spend a lot of time to go through every single record. So when I got there, he had about 500 records, and I will pick randomly. Now, the only nice thing he had there, what he did for me, he had about 3 to 350 of them already, like in genres, right? So he had the rock, he had the gospel, he had some country, jazz, blues already separated. And first I went through the stuff that I'm less interested, like gospel stuff is not doing good for me in the shop. So I went quickly through those. He had about 30, 40 of them, put them all aside, didn't want them. Then I went through some country really quickly. I didn't want them as well, because they were kind of the titles that he had there, they were not very interested. There was a lot of 60, 70, country music, which is hard to move. And what I do then later, I will pick random record, just randomly, every 15, 20 records, I will pull one out, and I will set 20, 30 records aside like that. And I will look at those. I will pull those records, those vinyls out. I will look at the condition. I will look at the conditions of the sleeves. And if everything's good, that tells me that most of this collection is going to be in the same condition, especially when I'm out of 350 picking out randomly every 20 or so. That's the quickest way to do it, because otherwise, and that took me an hour to do it. Otherwise, it will take me forever. So there were no great, like super great titles, right? I'm not finding in classic rock there any Pink Floyd. I'm not finding Led Zeppelin, Scorpions, those great titles that that you can get more money for them, or some Beatles. There was a lot of stuff there that I'm gonna get $4, $5, $6 at the most per record. That tells me right away I can't pay $1 a piece. Plus, some of the sleeves and covers were not in the greatest condition either. So if I'm getting great titles, even if they might be a little bit rough, I know I can pay up a little bit. But if I'm not getting those great titles, those records that I'm gonna get, $8, $10, $12, $15 a piece, then I gotta cut my price in half. So that's what I did, and that's what I told him, and I said, listen, I can do 50 cents a piece. And he was cool with it. Later I find out that he actually sells some of the stuff on eBay online. So he picked through some of the better names. He says, I got probably about 30, 40 records online right now. So I'm thinking the better ones he already grabbed, which is still okay with me, but that's why I'm paying you 50 cents a piece. And he was happy with it. And then we started talking, and then he takes me to his garage. He says, hey, listen, I got also a little bit of vintage equipment. Would you be interested in it? And he showed me nothing spectacular. There's no Pioneer, Sansui, or Kenwood there, or Macintosh, but still decent stuff that I can make a few dollars. He says the only testing I did on this stuff was just power on. So I'm taking a chance on it, but I gave him for the 5 pieces of equipment $50. So even if 1 or 2 works, I know I can make some money, and the rest of it can go for parts. He also had 3 reel-to-reel players. He said none of them actually worked, none of them even powered on. So I kind of passed on him. There was nothing spectacular as far as like basic TIAC names. So even for parts, I couldn't make him an offer on those. But he's got a lot more records to go through. So as soon as he goes through them, he's going to be calling me again. So it's a great contact. How did I find this guy? Simple ad that I had on Craigslist. I'm looking for vinyl, and I pay cash on the spot. And he called me up the other day, and we made an appointment for today, and boom. So that's how it works, guys. That's how you make that flipping game going. Stop recording. Stop recording. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little episode. I know it was short, but I wanted to show a little bit how I buy vinyl records, especially when I buy them in big quantities. And I also wanted to try out this new GoPro camera that I just got, because stabilization on it's supposed to be phenomenal. Hopefully it will be. And the microphone, they really upgraded and did good stuff with the audio on this new model. So I would love to hear your input. How was this video? Was it good quality when it comes to video overall? Was it jerky? Was it shaky? And how was the audio? Because if the audio is good, I'm gonna be using more and more GoPro in my videos. I used to use the old one, Hero 3, because it had a better mic and I had an external mic actually hooked up to it. The Hero 5 that I had, it was absolutely horrible and I hardly ever used it. Stabilization on it was horrible. Everything about that camera was not good, so I barely used it unless I did kind of some action that I couldn't bring the big camera with me. Then I used it. Even then I used my iPhone. So I would love to hear from you guys some feedback. How is this video, and is it good? Because if it is, I'm gonna be using more and more of this GoPro. I'm kind of excited. They dropped the price on it, so it's good too. It cost $400 instead of $500. So, and I got already so many different accessories for GoPro, and I sold my old one just yesterday, Hero 5. I put it on eBay and it sold within, I'm not kidding you, half an hour, and I got $180 for it for the Hero 5. So that's good. Anyway, now I'm rambling. Thank you for watching. Till next time. Cheers.